Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Man, these things go by way too fast, don't they? I did a bunch of updates today on the smaller miners and also not much on the bigger miners, but we have a lot of things to talk about here. So it's going to be a little bit lengthy one today, I think. But we will talk about Cleanspark and the confirmed short on them. Matt posted something on it. We'll talk about that. DR Lewis also had a great post on it as well. We had some short, what was it called? Halt on the shorting on the stock, along with Riot, I think it was. Last week, so that's playing out nicely for us. We had a nice day on Cleanspark on Friday. We'll take a look at that. We have some quarterly results for the smaller miners as well. We also have the weekly Bitcoin versus miners as well to take a look at. So there's a lot to get through it. We will get through it, but it's just going to take us a little while to get through it all. But you guys know the drill here, right? Not financial advice. We're only do your own research. Full disclosure down below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Bitcoin hasn't done too badly over the weekend as well. We can see here on the chart. It is down just a little bit here over the weekend, so it's nothing really to complain about. We were way up. Friday we had I think it was Friday. Yeah, Friday we had a new all-time high of 99,860. We were only $140 off from reaching 100,000. I was watching it close. I was like, okay, if we get close to that, and it looks like it might actually peak, I was going to do a live stream, but it never got there. We kind of hit it and then dropped below it, so that's why we never did a live stream on Friday. But overall, I think this is good for Bitcoin here. A little pullback is healthy. Nonetheless, we needed a little bit, right? We've been up huge here on it. One thing that I like to look at is obviously the RSI, see where we are on it. We saw that the RSI has come down as well on it, so that's good. The thing that I like to see here on the weekly here, RSI is now also above the 70, which is overheated a little bit, right? Overbought, maybe a little territory. But if you look at it back here from when it was back in October of last year, you can see the RSI went above 70. And then it pretty much stayed there for the most part. We dipped a little bit below it here back in January and things like that. But then we went back over to being overheated. And the whole time we got new all-time highs. Well, not all-time highs. Yeah, we got new all-time highs at that point. And that was like some 20-odd some weeks here where Bitcoin was just going up higher and higher and higher. And the RSI was above the 70 mark here. So we can definitely go much longer from where we have been here recently. We've only had so far, if we look at it, where we actually crossed the 70 mark here, we've had only 2 weeks here. So we could have a potential here for a much, much longer run going forward with the RSI being elevated above 70% on the weekly chart. Daily is going to be the same thing, I think. It's going to go up and down here, but more or less, as long as the weekly is good, then we're looking pretty good here. The 4-hour chart also isn't looking too bad here. The RSI has been falling down. 1-hour chart, same thing. It's bottomed out here. This was actually today at around 9 o'clock in the morning bottomed, and then it's picked back up here. So we'll see where that one leads us, along with the 15-minute chart that's been kind of up and down as well. But we'll see what happens tomorrow with Bitcoin, the miners as well, all that stuff. Friday was a great day for us. A lot of the miners were, actually all the miners were in the green on Friday. So that was great news to see that finally happening. Cleanspark, obviously you guys probably were watching it as well, had a fantastic Friday. It was up 16.47% on the day. And the reason for that was, well, we'll get into it here in a second, but it was basically the shorts were halted from beating it down even more because it's been down quite a bit here. But DR Lewis had a great post on it. We'll cover that as well. And what else did I want to show you guys? Hut A was up nicely. IREN was up also nicely as well. Riot was up just a little bit here. Wolf was up okay. Same with Mara. Anybody else that did really well? I think that was basically it. Some of the smaller miners did pretty good. Digihost, BitDigital as well did pretty good. DMG also. ETFs did very, very well on Friday as well. WGMI was up 7%. The rest were up about 5% plus on that. So it was just a great Friday for us, which we really needed here. Okay. Looking at the network hash rate really quick. Let's get this updated as well. See where we are standing right now on it. And on the 7-day average, 781 exahash here on the 7-day average for the Bitcoin network hash rate. If we look at the 30-day average, that has continued to go up like crazy. We are at 737 still here right now. I still expect us to get to around 800 by the end of the year if things play out the way I thought they would. Right, my original goal was about 800 to 900 on the year. So we're going to be right around that mark here. Now, looking at looking at the hash price here on Bitcoin here recently, let's take a look at the 1 month here. It is definitely going up, which is nice to see. 63s, we're back down 61, so we're at least above 60s here recently. That's good news for the miners. The miners are definitely going to be generating a heck of a lot more revenue on Bitcoin here. Bitcoin's holding around 97, 98,000, whatever it is right now, so that's great news. And then Bitcoin for the month of November is up 38%. So really good month here. We have a couple more days in the month before we transition over to December. This week is going to be a little bit shorter one. We have tomorrow trading. Well, Bitcoin's going to be trading 24/7, so it doesn't really matter. But the miners, right? They're going to be trading only tomorrow, Tuesday, and I think we have a light day on Wednesday. No trading on Thursday, and I think there might be some trading on Friday, but it also might be a short day on that one as well. And then we get into next week, the following month, December. So we'll see how December is going to look for us going forward to that. But getting back to here, Cleanspark. Sean actually posted, and then D.R. Lewis had a little tidbit added to it as well. So Sean Buckley, rumors circulating around SEC 201 ruling regarding Cleanspark short selling has potentially been excessive and may have been limited or even restricted temporarily. This could be a catalyst for Cleanspark and other Bitcoin miners and have been suppressed recently. And that was basically it, right? That was the catalyst that we saw on Friday. And then D.R. Lewis provided this following details. Sean, here's the deal. The SEC 201 ruling has been in place since 2010 for all regulated securities. It restricts short sales when a stock's price declines by at least 10% in one day. If triggered, traders can only short the stock above the current best bid rest of the day and the next trading day. So we might have a nice reprieve here also tomorrow, right? Monday on this one. So was the circuit breaker SEC triggered if the stock dropped? Well, yes, it was, right? So that was triggered, and you can see it here. I think I have it on here as well, right? You got Cleanspark here this was on Thursday? Yeah, Thursday at 10:30 a.m. was triggered for Cleanspark, and then I think it was Riot over here someplace as well. Right, there it is. Riot is right there also as well. And this was also triggered at 10:29. So we know that these guys are definitely being shorted to the max degree here, especially with the big boys playing in this field. They are hedging their bets. So they're hedging on MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, maybe others as well, and then shorting the miners to hedge their bets. So this is the way it all works out. We've been talking about this for quite a while, that this is definitely the reason why, because it just makes no sense. Bitcoin going from 60-some thousand to 90-some thousand, and the miners, for the most part, are only up, maybe 5-10% at the most. So it definitely was not what we would see with this happening. But hopefully in time, and I still believe that this is going to happen, that we will have a rotation back into the miners, especially as they become more profitable with Bitcoin going up 100,000 plus, right? So that's going to happen in time. It's just, you got to have patience and just let this whole thing play out. We are, unfortunately, at the mercy of the big guys here. They're going to do what they're going to do. We don't have enough capital to move the needle like they do, okay? So that is going to be good for us possibly tomorrow with Cleanspark, right, as well. And I didn't see, you got even Digihost on here as well, so one of the smaller miners. You got MicroStrategy in here as well, MSTR, which was surprising that they had a short on it as well. Well, yeah, that can make sense because MicroStrategy was down quite a bit also. You got Digihost, the ones that I remember seeing here. I'm not going to go through the whole list here. I'd have to probably scroll up and down like crazy to find anything that I see resembling any of the miners or anything like that. But yeah, this is definitely good news here. Definitely give us a little of a reprieve here with them, at least with a couple miners at least. Okay. All right. Next, let's get into some of the stories that I want to talk to you about. Some of the miners here that I'm going to be getting rid of here as well. So the reason I'm looking to get rid of some of these miners is mainly because there's a couple of reasons. One, their hash rate is not growing like they're supposed to. They're either decreasing their own Bitcoin mining self-hash rate, or they are also, what's the other reason? The other reason is they're not providing the updates. So if they provide continual monthly updates, I would keep track of them. But there's a couple of them that actually have not done that. And then we have one that's being bought out right now. So it's actually 3 that I'm getting rid of right now. And there might be actually a 4th one as well. And we'll discuss all that here as we go through all these guys. And I'll tell you guys which ones I'm kind of getting rid of and which ones I'm still holding on to. But maybe I'll tell you which ones I'm getting rid of right now instead of prolonging it. Let's just go through that and the reasons why. Okay, so let me go over to my sheet here, screen, and then go over to this one here, which is on the small miners. So on here, you can see that I still have Argo, BitDigital, Digihost, and DMG. Okay, Digihost, I did run the quarterly results for them, and they only generated about 0.54 million in revenue. So this one is possibly going to be, I think, highly likely going to be on my chopping block as well, because they only mined 9 BTC over the quarter for themselves, which is just, I mean, they're pivoting more into co-location, hosting, things like that. And I have a little note here as well. Let's see here. See more of this. So it says here, for the 3 months period ended September 30th, 2024, Digihost mined a total of 9 Bitcoin compared to 157 for the 3 months period ended September 30th of last year, a decrease of 94%. So they're definitely pivoting on this one here. They're going into co-location and everything else here. During the 2023, the company entered into various hosting and co-location agreements to diversify its operations, which decreased the number of coins mined. The impact of diversification has impacted year-to-date mining results, as during the prior year for these agreements were beginning to ramp up and the company became less reliant on strictly self-mining. Okay, so that's great there. And then it was also kind of confusing on their monthly production updates because they were providing they have 2 exahash, whatever it is, and then you find out, yeah, okay, 2 exahash, but it's all for co-location and things like that, which doesn't bode well for me, right? I would like it to be broken out as much as possible. It's not that hard to ask. What is your self-mining? What is your co-location? What is your hosting? Right? That's simple asks if they can do that. But they weren't doing that, so I was going off of the numbers that they were providing here, which I had them at 2 exahash at the end of the month here of September. And then we got nothing right after that. So it's kind of like, all right, well, I was way off because I had about 2.1 million. They provided that the revenue was about 538,000. Right, so it's a huge decrease from that, and with them mining just barely anything on it, it's like, okay, what's there really to cover? The only thing that we can track there is their co-location, but they're getting a portion of the revenue there as well as some profit share as well. So it's really tough with some of these guys here. So Digihost, I'm thinking it's definitely going to be getting cut. Other ones that I cut in here were Mawson. Mawson as well with their production updates. It's very cryptic. You can't really tell what's going on with them. As far as what's their self-mining and hosting and co-location and anything else going on there. So they're gone. I also got rid of Sphere 3D. Sphere 3D has not updated their operational update since August. I also looked at their current, I think it was their quarterly results. They said that they're at like 700 petahash right now. They're at 1.2. So what happened to the 500 petahash that they had there? I'm sure you could probably find it out, but it's just like they're going in the wrong direction. So they're becoming even smaller, plus not reporting monthly operational updates. That makes it tough. So they're gone. And then I got rid of Stronghold as well. Stronghold hasn't reported since, I think, September. I think it was the last one. But they're getting bought out by Bitfarms as well. So that one's off the table here now. So with the smaller miners, it looks like we might be down to actually 3. Argo, BitDigital, and DMG going forward. And even Argo. I think Argo is going to be a challenge here going forward because Galaxy is now renewing their contract for hosting. So they got approximately what I think it was a 2.5 exahash that's got to find a new home, but it's also older generation miners. Their capital, well, let's get into Argo here next. I think that'll be the best shot to do with that one because we'll go look at their quarterly results, get through it all, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts on it as far as why I think that one might be in trouble. All right, so let's go back here, I think. Yep. All right, so here's Argo. They released their numbers for Q3 results. Also, not a lot of details. I don't think they had they had a little bit of management commentary, but not much. But here's what we had. So Q3 results, revenue of 7.5 million. And let's see, compared to total Bitcoin mined in the quarter was 123, 1.3 Bitcoin per day. Mining margin percentage of 8% and 33% for the year and 9 months ended. Right, not a very great percentage there. Net loss of 6.3 million for that quarter. Adjusted EBITDA was negative 2.1 million. The company ended the quarter with a cash of 2.5 million, reduced debt by 12.4 million. So that was actually pretty good there. They paid off the loan to Galaxy Digital. And then let's see here, down here. So on November 7th, despite ongoing discussions with Galaxy to renew the company's current hosting agreement at Helios, the company was informed by Galaxy that it did not intend to renew the contract beyond the current end date of December 28th. As such, we are currently in discussions regarding our miners located at Helios. Yeah, they're going to get their miners back, right? But where are they going to put them? That's the big question there. And also, their miners are our older machines here. And then it provided, obviously, all their revenues and the balance sheet, financials. So let's take a look at Argo here really quick as well. And I'll give you guys my thoughts on it, on all the details here. So Argo did have like 2.5, 2.7, whatever it is, exahash hosting between their facilities up in Canada and the Helios facility as well. Helios was their largest one there. They had a lot there, I think about 2.5 or something like that. But you can see the stock performance hasn't been great here over the last 12 weeks. up 8% from 12 weeks ago, down 2.5% from 8 weeks ago, up just slightly 0.4 from 4 weeks ago. Last week they were actually down at that point. So I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to survive here without a large infusion or somebody, but somebody might buy them out. They did say that they have talks with somebody for HPCI in their Canadian facilities. Maybe they survive that way going forward. But yeah, this is one that was really promising back in like 2021. It looked like it had all the mojo to go a lot higher, but the bull market or the bear market actually did a job on them, unfortunately. Going down here, last 4 quarters revenue, right? Revenue has been decreasing 7.46 million here in Q3. Currently, I'm estimating about 9.18 for the quarter here. For them, that's because Bitcoin prices gone up, so that kind of helps them a little bit here. Operating costs have also been coming down, which is good, right? But then check this out. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation plus credits. I am at 56,000 right now to mine 1 Bitcoin. So they're still profitable at this current rate, with Bitcoin being at 97, 98,000, whatever it is. But Bitcoin mined quarterly has been decreasing, right? We've seen no growth from them over the last, what has it been, number of, basically a year plus probably, right? They were at 2.8. They come down a little bit here to 2.7 exahash, but yeah, it's not looking good. Debt to equity, negative 2.489 now. Current ratio, 0.5. That's not good there. Total current assets, 5.5 million. Total current liabilities, 10.6. Right there in the red right now. Not a healthy balance sheet at all for them. Going down here. On the revenue side of things and the numbers for Q3, we'll get into some of these metrics here in a second here, but here's what we had. Let's see. Total current assets went down to 5.5 from 6.2. Non-current assets went down to 23.9 from 27 million. And then total current liabilities went down to 10.6 from 14.4, so that's at least good. Total liabilities went down to 49 million from 53 million, but that's still pretty high for them. And then total liability and stockholder equity is at 29 million. That's down from the 33 million that they had. Revenues here, right? Revenues, we talked about that, came down to 7.4 from the 12.4. What else here? Direct costs, we actually went down to 6.8 from 8.7. So that was actually pretty good there. What else do we have? Depreciation down to 2.2 million here. And down here, restructuring, that came down as well. I mean, those were pretty low, all things considered. So that wasn't too bad. Operating loss was negative 4.2 compared to negative 5 million. So a little bit better, still a loss, but a little bit better than what it was. And then operating income loss was negative 6 million compared to the negative 29 million, but they had impairment of tangible fixed assets of 22 million here. It looks like in Q2. So that got taken off there, and basically lost 0.6 million, but still a negative loss of a penny basically per share here, based on what they reported. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough for them to survive, I think. The only thing, like I said, is going to be a savior for them is if they can get a kind of HPCI deal in their Canadian facilities there, and if they can possibly move their machines relatively quickly. But the machines even there are pretty old. You got some 95 terahash and 100 terahash, 105 terahash, not the most efficient machines in this current bull run. And then how long is it going to take them to move those machines also? I mean, you got, how many machines you got here? You got, between the ones that are still operating here, you got roughly, what does that come out to be? 27, almost 28,000 machines roughly. Then you got to move, unplug, package, put them on a pallet, send them out someplace else, preferably in the United States, not someplace overseas. Right? So that's going to be interesting to see for them. And that's why I say they might be also on the chopping block, because if they can't find a home for those, or if they're going to, I mean, they might be better off just selling those things as they are and possibly using the revenue there to buy some newer machines, get their hash rate maybe down lower, but at least you're going to be, trucking along with better miners, more efficient miners than what you currently have. But I wish them all the best. It's a tough market. We've seen this before with other miners as well that have been struggling. They're not the only ones here. A lot of people got into trouble back in the bear market of, the last bear market basically. Okay, so that's Argo in a nutshell. I mean, right now I have them between $1.86 and $2.79 if things were great for them, but they're currently $1.17. They're undervalued, but there's a reason why. It's because all the stuff that's happening around Helios, contract not being renewed, and the financial situation is not looking great for them either on that one. So that one's going to be on the chopping block as well here, possibly going forward. Next here, what do we have here next? Next is going to be on BitDigital. We covered this a little bit here last week when they did report it. I did listen in to the conference call as well. And I wanted to listen to it because people were saying that they're going to be looking to get to possibly like, let me see, where was this at? It was down here. Okay, yeah, the company received a 90-day notice now of non-renewal from its co-location of CoinMint. They also have older machines there as well. So I listened to the conference call. It does look like they're going to be selling those machines and trying to get back up to around 3 exahash, possibly by February. At the latest would be by the end of the first half. So we're looking at possibly from February to June. That's kind of what they're targeting. They don't have any concrete purchases yet of machines or where they're going to put them yet. But that's kind of what they're targeting. So I think that's pretty good. But that still kind of leaves them in the smaller, minor category. So we're going to leave them here. They are generating right now more revenue from the HPCI. They have talked about getting more customers there as well. So that's kind of where they're pivoting to. And I would almost say to them, don't bother with Bitcoin mining at this point, because they are just focusing so much more on HPCI, and that seems to be bringing in much better revenue for them, along with more profit margins, right? I would still like to see them to grow their Bitcoin mining if they could, and if they were actually serious about it, getting to like 10 exahash or something like that by the end of next year. I think that would be fantastic, but it doesn't look like that's the goal of there. So we'll see how this works out for them. And let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here for them, because I think I updated those as well, which I believe I did. Yeah. So BitDeer has about 149 million shares outstanding right now. Market cap 664 million. Their performance here over the last 12 weeks has been actually much, much better. They're starting to catch a little bit more of a price appreciation on their, HPCI business in general, I think it is. They bought a facility out in Canada. That's HPCI data center. I think it's a tier 3 data center there. I'm pretty sure it is on that one. And since then, the stock has been doing actually pretty good. So they're up 66% from 12 weeks ago, 31% from 8 weeks ago. And then from last week, or 4 weeks ago, they're up 24%. And then last week, they were up 3.98%. So they've had a nice run up here recently, which is about time, because they were definitely not being valued for the Bitcoin mining or their HPCI business that they have right now, which is generating close to 100 million as it is. But you can see here also that their hash rate has been coming down a little bit, but that's not a big deal there. That's right. Then last 4 quarters revenue, this is only for Bitcoin mining. This does not include the HPCI business. And down below, I actually have some analysis if they did include the HPCI business into it. But revenue for Bitcoin mining has been coming down here. They're at 10.1 million here in Q3. The current quarter, I'm estimating about 11.4, depending where Bitcoin goes, right, and what they actually mine here. And they are going to be moving some machines out, I don't know, or selling them. Maybe they'll sell them before the end of the term date for the contract that they have there with CoinMint. So that might impact it as well, but right now it's kind of estimated right around there. The last 4 quarters operating costs minus depreciation, those have gone up. Mostly that is, I think, through SG&A. I think that's SG&A. I think those are the costs that are being included in there, where they've brought on more team members to help with HPCI business, things like that. Okay, going down here, cost of mining 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation was 72,000. That seems way high here, right? We know that they host everything, so that could be a reason for it. On that, Bitcoin mine quarterly has been coming down, right? Which is never a good sign for me. I don't like seeing that. That means the company's not growing their hash rate. Debt to equity, lower is better. They're at 0.19, still really healthy balance sheet here. So no concerns there. Current ratio, higher is better. They're at 5.2. Basically, they pay off their debt 5 times over, which is still really good. You can see it here. Total current assets, 258 million compared to only 49 million in total current liabilities right now. So that's looking really good here. We'll get into these numbers here in a second. Going down here, as I said, they have some older generation miners as well. The 100 terahash, 103 terahash, 120, 111 as well, right? So they would be definitely due for a refresh, I think, there, if they were to do it, trying to get to 3 exahash. So that would actually be a good thing. And then we'll get into these as well here in a second. But current assets, we talked about that a little bit here, 258 million compared to 217. So that's good increase there. Total assets also increased to 375 million from 350 million. So that's good. Total current liabilities went up here, 49 million to from 10 million. Big increase on that was the deferred revenue section that they put in here, 30 million on that one. And total liabilities increased to 60 million from 20 million. And then that is, like I said, that's based on that one being quite high up there. Total liabilities and stockholder equity was up to 375 million from 315 million, so that's good. Revenues here, so check this out. Digital asset mining revenue was only 10.1 million. High performance computing was 12.1. And then Ethereum staking was only 447, so that's still up from where it's been. Obviously, Ethereum price has gone up. Total revenue 22.7 million, pretty down a little bit here, obviously from where they were in Q2. Biggest change was digital asset mining here. That was down approximately 6 million for them for the quarter, compared to the prior quarter of that. Going down here, digital asset mining expenses 9 million. So yeah, that's probably why we're seeing that being at 72,000 roughly. That's an estimated number, right? It's not an exact number. It's just estimated for them for the cost to mine one Bitcoin. High performance computing, 5 million here. So that's roughly, what is that margin on it? Still greater than like 60%, 65%, something like that. On it, Ethereum staking, some general costs there. But take a look at this here. General administrative costs here on this one was 13.6 million, up from 5.4. I mean, that is a high increase of about 8 million here. I'm guessing that's going to be partially from stock-based compensation as well, part of it, but also they're hiring more people there as well. What else do we have here that I wanted to show you guys? Profit margin for high-performance computing was 55%. Okay, so that's actually come down here from where it was at 63% in Q2. I'm not sure why that is, why that came down. Higher electrical costs or something like that. Don't know. What the reason for it is, let's see, lost income from operations was negative 38 million on that one. And net income before taxes was negative 38 million. They did have a negative 11, so that's definitely attributable to some of the stuff up there. Okay, so they lost 26 cents compared to negative 9 cents, but they are growing their Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, HPCI business as well. All right, going back up here, we can see that, like I said, the cost of mining of Bitcoin, 772,000, based on the amount that they mined here, divided by the cost. That's kind of what we're getting there on it. And then debt to equity, we talked about that. Current ratio, talked about that as well. Book value of equity, it is at 315 million. Price to book ratio, 2.1. Enterprise value, 556 million. Beta was negative 30, and EV to beta was negative 18. Revenue, like I said, was 22. General administrative was 13 million. That's 60%. That's a huge increase from where it was. I'm hoping that a lot of it, I'll have to take a look, but I think a lot of it was with maybe share-based compensation on top of it. But if it's not, that's definitely not good. Definitely need to get that under control relatively quickly, or grow your operations where you're generating a heck of a lot more revenue, right? So you need scale. Scale fixes a lot of the issues that you see here with either HPC business or Bitcoin mining in general. You need scale. Scale fixes a lot of things. But yeah, that's it on that one. And going up here, I have in between, using the revenue for Bitcoin mining here, between 298 and 447. They're at 444, right? But if we include like the 4+ million that they're getting a month here in revenue, is that right? It should be actually more than that. I think I'm using the last, let's take a look at it here. Quarterly financials for them, dividing by 3. So they're generating 12 million here in HPC AI deals. Yeah, so that's approximately 4 million per month here. And then we're multiplying that times 12, and we're getting between 449 and 674. At this point, I would say that they are still undervalued based on the numbers there. Okay, so that's it for that one. And I got to take a sip of my drink here because my throat's starting to get dry, so are my lips and my mouth. So bear with me. Okay. Next one here, up to date, up to bad actually, is Digihost. So Digihost also announced its earnings release date and released updated investor presentation. And here's some things here that were kind of, that's why I think, yeah, that's why, no, they're still in here. I thought I was getting rid of them. I think they're, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting rid of them as well. So we might be actually down to 2 miners here, BitDigital and DMG here at the end of it all. But let's take a look at it here nonetheless, right? So they provided all their information here in their management discussion and analysis. They provided us, well, at least to me, it was a kind of bombshell. It's like, okay, wow, I didn't know it was going to be this bad for their Bitcoin self-mining. But here's what we have. For the 3 months period, and I think I covered that already. Yeah, this is the text that I covered in the spreadsheet itself. So yeah, 9 Bitcoin at, that's very, very, very rough. But let's take a look at them here nonetheless, see how they've done so far. Shares outstanding about 33 million right now. Their performance over the last 12 weeks has been surprisingly really, really good. They're up 85% from 12 weeks ago, 90% from 8 weeks ago, 42% from 4 weeks ago, and the last week they're up 10%. Okay, kind of bewilders me a little bit as far as why. Small miner, not mining much. Yes, they're converting over to co-location and all that stuff. Is that going to be maybe more profitable for them? Sure, but them not mining Bitcoin during the peak bull run and everything else, that might not be good. Okay, but yeah, they've had a nice run up here on that one. Going down here, let's see. Okay, quarterly results here. Yeah, you can see that 0.54 million, right? We talked about that. Last 4 quarters operating costs, but have been really low, so that's good. They're at 1.2, and I probably should have updated this one. Yeah, I didn't update this. I should have updated this, but the reason I didn't probably update it was because I'm thinking I'm going to get rid of them anyways. So let's just go down to the numbers here for Q3, which I have them in here. And you can see that they have some older generation miners as well. They have these, well, at least I thought they did, the 100 terahash from 122, but seeing that they're now reporting co-location as well, that might not be the case. So that data is probably going to be off on it. But here's what we have for the numbers. Assets, 6.6 million from 5.2, so that increased a little bit here. Total assets went down to 38 from 41 million. Liabilities, total current liabilities, 6 million, so that's down a little bit from the 7 million that they had. Total liabilities also went down to 11.5 from 12.9. Total stockholder equity and liability is down to 38 from 41 million. And then revenues, like I said, I mean, it was just a big drop here in revenues from 2.9 was 3 million here in Q2 to 538,000 only in Q3. So that was not good, right? We don't like seeing that. And with them now pivoting more into co-location and hosting and things like that and energy, I don't know how. I'm sure they're going to be able to survive. It's just, are they possibly overvalued right now? We'll take a look at it in a second here. Customer of revenue here was 8 million. I probably should have looked into the numbers that were broken out for cost of power, other production, depreciation, and stuff like that. But that's definitely up a little bit here from where it was in Q2 for them. Cost of revenue also, let's see, what is this? That's down. Oh, no, it's down a little bit here from 3.9. I keep forgetting that I have the H1 here values for them as well. You can see the gross profit margins and things like that. Let's see what we got here. We got that. Cost of revenue, depreciation, office expenses. That's not too bad. Actually went down to 518 from 584. Professional fees also went down, so that's good. Regulatory fees went down a little bit. What else do we have here? Total, let's see, income loss before income tax, negative 5 million from negative 4, right? There's really no reason why the stock has done so well based on the numbers that I'm seeing here right now. And then net loss came in at negative 5.6 compared to negative 4.7 on it. And they lost 21 cents on the per share instead of negative 16. So those are all not good things for them right now. Going up here, cost to mine what Bitcoin miners depreciation came in at 86,000 for them with the 90. I have a 96. Probably should bring that up, but those are all off going to be numbers for that because they actually mined only 9 Bitcoin for themselves. The other stuff is co-location and things like that. Debt to equity, talked about that. Actually, no, 0.42 and current ratio 1.08. So they're barely just squeaking by right now. Book to value is 27 million. Price to book ratio 2.5. Enterprise value is 61 million here. And EV to beta is negative 1.2. Oh, beta is negative 1.2 based on my numbers. And then EV to beta was negative 50. And then revenue here was 9. General administrative was not too bad, 11% of that. So that's still pretty in line with where they were. So they're efficient when it comes to spending on general administrative, I guess you could say. But looking up here, I have in between 94 cents and $1.42, but that was based on them mining. Let me see if I need to update this here. I think I do. Yeah, I got to bring that down here on it. So we're looking at 83 cents to $1.24 at best. They're currently at $2.06. Yeah, I think they're overvalued right now. Right, if we look at the number or the revenue for Bitcoin mining, just itself between 18 and 27 cents going forward in the next 12 months based on October numbers. So they are generating more revenue from the co-location. I think it's in here. I think there's, yeah, co-location here is about 7 million for them. I'm not sure how much of that profit is actually in there, but it's still nonetheless, it's not going to be that great. So That's it for Digihost there. Really quick, that one's going to be going in the trash as well, unfortunately. Argo might be another one, so we might be with just BitDigital and DMG here as being small miners. Talking about Mawson here, right? Mawson, like I said, this is, I think, their update from October. No data here as far as what their self-mining is, what their hosting is, anything. It's just some dollar figures and then trying to figure out what's going on there. You really can't. So they're out of the picture. Then we had Stronghold, like I talked about. Stronghold, they're getting bought out by Bitfarms here in sometime Q1 of 2025. So I'm not really going to bother with them anymore. Sphere 3D, also last time that they provided an update has been a while. They did provide their quarterly results here. And yeah, like I said, their hash rate is down to 0.7 exahash here. End of quarter. I'd like to know where it's at right now, but we haven't had any updates from them since August. So they're out of the picture as well. Okay. So that's it on that. And then with the small miners, really quick, let's look at the weekly. We got 3 miners in here right now on it from the 52-week lows to the 52-week highs. Bitcoin's outperformed these guys here. Digihost, BitDigital is probably the closest one to it, and I think that one's still undervalued. Digihost is, I believe, way overvalued right now. And then DMG is just lagging behind, and Argo, well, we know what's going on with Argo, so I'm not even going to go down the list and go lower than that. Right, the only one that's really interesting here is BitDigital, really. Okay, next one here we're going to take a look at is the large miners here. So large miners right now are basically anybody that's above 5 exahash and above that. Eventually I'll probably increase that to anybody that's not getting to above 10 exahash and then 15 exahash. We'll make those guys the larger miners going forward. But here's how these guys have done over the last 52 weeks from the lows to the highs. And we got Core being up nicely here, almost 600% from the 52-week lows. TeraWolf, nicely done as well, 542%. It's not based on their Bitcoin mining prowess. It is based on their forward-looking into HPC AI. Some people don't like the term that I use, hype, around these guys, or anybody that's gaining really price appreciation because of HPC AI. They're calling it more forward-looking by investors, so I'll call it that. So that would include TeraWolf, Hut 8, right? Those guys have done very, very well here recently. Hut's being up 390%, IREN's up 215, Cypher 214, Cleanspark 192, BitDeer 180. So those have all outperformed or highly outperformed Bitcoin, with Bitcoin being only up 169% here in the 52 weeks. Marathon underperforming 141%, Bitfarms 104%, Riot 93%, and Hive at 87%. And you can see here that Bitfarms still has a ways to go before it gets close to its 52-week highs here, along with Cleanspark. Who else? Riot, IREN as well, right? Those guys are definitely way under from where they probably should be. Looking at the 1-week chart here, Bitcoin came in at 9% on the week. I track it from Friday to Friday, right? So it's different from the Sunday to Sunday that everybody else is used to, but I do it that way based on the miners. And Marathon's up 24%. Marathon bought more Bitcoin here recently. They're up like at 31,000. So they're becoming a little micro strategy here. They should call themselves Micro Mara or something like that, or Mara Micro. So they're doing that play on it, which helped the stock out tremendously here. It's up 24% last week. Core was up 15%. Bitcoin, like I said, was 9%. Cleanspark up 8%. BitDeer 4%, along with TeraWolf. Hut was up 3%. Cypher was up only 2%. IREN was up 1%. Riot was, it says -0%. Bitfarms was down -6%. And Hive was down -8%. If you look at the 4-week chart here, things look a little bit different here. Bitcoin's up 43%. So ones that have not performed as well are Core, TeraWolf, Cypher, IREN, Riot, Bitfarms, and Hive. The others have outperformed. Marathon being up 62%, along with Hut 8%. At that point, leading the pack. 8 weeks ago, you got Hut 8 leading the pack, 116%. Right? Bitcoin's up 60%, so it's outperformed a lot of these guys here. The only ones that did better are Marathon, TeraWolf, Cypher, and that's about it. Everybody else has pretty much underperformed. And look at the 12 weeks, you got Hut 8 being up 188%. What's the reasoning behind it? It's HPCI potential. That's the reason why for it. And Bitcoin's up at that point 84%. So it looks like majority have outperformed here, with the exception of IREN, Bitfarms, and Hive at that point. So it's definitely interesting to take a look at how that's been playing out here. It's been a better week for us with the miners here. ending on Friday. We'll see how this week plays out for us, but we are seeing more green here than we are red, as we've seen in the past. So that's looking pretty good for us. On the enterprise metrics for the miners here as of Friday, things are looking this way. Current hash rate, you can see that Hive, Marathon, Bitfarms, IREN, and Cleanspark, along with Riot, I would say are way undervalued compared to Hut 8, Core. But Core, we know, is going to have a great revenue stream happening sometime in the first half of 2025 with Core Weave. I also saw a note saying that Core Weave is looking to be priced at like $30-some-odd billion when they IPO. So that's going to be really, really good for that stock possibly. I still would not buy it in the IPO because I've learned that we that buy the stock at the IPO are usually exit liquidity for the people that have been in it for a longer time. Now, if we look at the future hash rate on the miners here, we can see that still Bitfarms, Hive, Cleanspark, IREN, Marathon, Riot are way undervalued compared to like Core, Terra, Hut 8. Cypher's kind of up there now right now. So I think even Cypher's a little bit overvalued right now for the future hash rate. Okay, but that is it. On the updates for these guys. All of these spreadsheets will be sent out to the Patreon members later on tonight or even tomorrow, depending what time I finish up here with the Q&A. And that's also going to be available to the YouTube members. I'll get that out to you guys tomorrow also for both the small and large miners combined. You guys will get that update tomorrow. I'll get that going as well. Okay, so that's available to Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. $8 a month. You might be able to find a couple of spots that are still $4 and $5 a month. Okay, I need to catch my breath here. Been going on for 40 minutes of me just ranting and chatting to myself. All right, let's get you guys involved here now. Let's get to the Q&A, see what you guys have to say. And as always, if you guys should preface the questions with a question mark or a Q or question, the word question. That way I know, because I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit of comments. And I got a lot to get through, but I will get through it all. So be patient there. And I'm just going to pick a spot someplace to start the questions, because I'm going to start all the way from the top. You guys have a lot of questions, it looks like, already. But be patient with me. I will get through those in due course. All right. Let's see here. All right. We got a question. Can you explain the Stronghold acquisition? I don't understand what will happen to the existing 4 exahash that SDIG currently has, because I haven't seen that added onto the Bitfarms portfolio yet. That is probably going to go away by the wayside. I don't have the sheet for it, for what they have right now, but it's older generation miners. And with Bitfarms sending them 20,000 miners there right now, I think they're going to be swapping those out. I think that's kind of the plan there right now. So those are going to be going away. All right, let's see it. Question. Hello, Seb. How you doing? I'm approximately 98% profit on MicroStrategy. Would you take some profits now or wait for the end of the bull run? Not financial, of course. Thank you. Okay, so with MicroStrategy, that one likes to front run a little bit or get a little overexcited, overheated in times with Bitcoin. And then it kind of pulls back down. We saw a little bit of pullback last week, but we also saw MicroStrategy come out, or Michael Saylor come out and say, hey, we're adding more Bitcoin to our treasury. You know, they bought some couple thousand more Bitcoin into it, and the stock went up. But we were down quite a bit on that one. I would say take some off the table, maybe not all of it, because we don't know if it's going to continue to run up. It may do so, but it also may correct a little bit. If it does, I think that would be healthy for the stock going forward, because it's now, what was it, like a 3x MNAV on top of it, what they actually own in Bitcoin. So that was getting a little overheated. Yes, it can get much higher in the bull run, but that's why I'm saying we may need a little pullback before things do go really forward on it. So I would just maybe take a little bit of profit, right? Keep an eye on it, see where it goes. But there's no shame in taking profits. If you're up 98% on it, you're doing very well already as it is. Okay. Let's see here. Is Hive undervalued after it bought the new miners? Also, what is your price target, please? For Hive, well, let's take a look at Hive here. Let's take a look. Yeah, I have them in here with the new miners. It's getting them to about 6.4 exahash so far right now. So still not a growth, but it's sequential growth for them. It's continuation of what they've been doing, and it's a continuation of their targets to get to like 13 exahash next year. But they are also getting rid of some of the older machines there for them as well. So here's Hive right now, right? I added the latest report that they came out. They're adding about 970 petahash sometime in, when did they say? I forgot when they said that. I think it was going to be happening next year possibly before they get those in. But yeah, that gets them to about 6.4 exahash based on my numbers. The red miners here are getting rid of those for more efficient miners here. I would have wished they would have went with maybe some better ones instead of the 194 terahash potentially. But if they got a good deal on them, okay, they can get a nice ROI on those relatively quickly. That's kind of the way they look at things, right? But right now, the way they are, I'm in between 463 and 695. They're 409. I think they are undervalued still, right? And then if we use the numbers for October revenue numbers times 12, they're still undervalued at that point. I would say because I have a 388 to 582, they're 409. I still think that they are undervalued. And you can see it on the enterprise value, right? And now they're like always coming out being the one that is the lowest for the most part. Like currently Hive, right? 49 million per exahash being valued. Even for their future hash rate growth, which isn't much right now, they're being valued at 43. Bitfarms is kind of more undervalued right now as it is in comparative terms, but yeah, they're way undervalued, I think, still. And they will do very well, I think, going forward. Some other miners will do better, but I think they still will do great in this bull run. They've been around for a long time. They're one of the first miners that I got into, invested, Hive, back in 2017, 2018. All right, let's go back here to Q&A. All right. Do you think at this point of the cycle, after bigger miners' appreciation, the biggest gains should possibly be in the smaller ones? Some QS last cycle, I don't know. So last cycle we had one of the ones that was going to be the biggest was going to be Marathon. Marathon ran the most, was up 70x. Others were down, up 40x. There was a couple that were also up 17x, 15x from the bottoms, right? So that was when you're looking at that point. And the smaller miners typically don't do that well. The only reason they run up sometimes is because they are so low priced right now. People look at those going, oh, these guys are low priced. There's, they got to run really well. That's not always the case. Okay. Hi, Seb. What will be the key points you will be looking for in the upcoming Bitfarms update for you to remain bullish on Bitfarms? Just growth. I want to see growth. I want to see at least like 3 exahash of growth. Them putting in 20,000 machines, get them in there as fast as you can because this is the time that you're going to be making all the money here. Let's see. Ron says, question new to the channel. Well, thanks so much for coming in. Thanks for all the insight and info. What can we expect from the miners, specifically Bitfarms, this week? Not much. I mean, depending where Bitcoin goes, the miners are being shorted right now. They're a hedge on their other plays for the big guys. We're at their mercy right now. We need to have that rotation happen where it's happening from the other things that they're invested in, getting back into the miners because the miners have been beaten down. More of the pure play miners, some of the miners that are talking about HPC AI, those have done really well, but we also need to see some kind of contracts there happening as well. Because if we don't, I think some of those guys are going to take a dip. All right, let's see. Let's see another question. Okay, Ryan here. Question, how can BitDigital go from cost to mine 19,000 Q4 of 2023 to over 70,000 in the latest quarter? Doesn't that sound like a crazy increase? That sounds like really bad news. Any good reasons? The big reasons is no growth, really. They haven't been growing. They've been increasing or upgrading their fleet. So you got less efficient miners there. The network difficulty has been increasing as well. And I don't know about the pricing that they get from the hosting as well. But they're hosting pretty much everything. So you're probably getting it, I don't know what they're getting at, maybe 5.5 cents, 6 cents, something like that. That's the reason why. All right, what else we got here? Excuse me. How much does Cleanspark spend to mine 1 Bitcoin? Cleanspark, I'm still waiting on the latest quarterly results, so my numbers are based on Q2 or their Q3 or Q2. And for them, it was, let's see here, cost me 1 Bitcoin. At that point, let's see here, it was showing 28.5, and I think Matt and Cleanspark team has stated they're like at 27,000 right now because they've been, changing out older machines for newer machines. They're getting more efficient there. So they said they're like at 27,000, I think is what they're calling it. So that's still really, really good numbers there. Okay. But once we get the fiscal year end numbers for them, we'll get that updated. Let's see, Sarah says, miners need to start ripping. This is getting stupid. Yeah. They're being manipulated. And Matt talked about it, I think it was Friday of last week. He posted a post on it. Question, what do you think of Ben at Bitfarms? Is he right? Best person to captain the ship? He's only been there for a quarter, roughly, right? A little bit, maybe more than a quarter. We need to give him a little bit more time, I think. I still think he's the right person there. But time will tell. We'll see. All right. Okay. Let's see. Question, if the price of Bitcoin drops significantly and stays low for an extended period of time, how would this impact the mining industry? And what strategies could miners adopt to remain profitable? Depending how far it would dip, right? Right now, everybody should be profitable for the most part. But Bitcoin being in 97,000, 98,000, if it goes up even higher, they're going to be great. But if it dips to, say, 90,000 again or 85,000, they're still going to be profitable for the most part. So the only thing they can do is continue to build out, grow, keep on growing, basically. Getting rid of older machines, getting newer machines. That's the way you kind of do this thing. All right. Let's see your question. Is the Trump dance still on the table if Bitcoin hits during your live stream? If it happens, I might do that, yeah. It's definitely on the table. Okay. All right. Question, what is the all? I'm not sure what the all is. Okay, so here we go. What is the cost to mine 1 BTC for Cleanspark? Thanks, talked about that already. Okay. In the last cycle 2020 run, how many weeks did Bitcoin stay at an RSI of 70 or above? In 2023, 24, you mentioned 20 weeks. Thanks. In the last cycle, let's take a look at that. No, where is it at? I'm going to go to my screen here. And we'll go here. And then go back. Okay, so we want to look at the weekly here. On that one, we've had, this was, 2023. All right, so let's go back here. We were over here where we had the double top, right? We stayed, when was this? I mean, you're looking at possibly same number, if not even higher. When we stayed from here, I don't know how many weeks that's going to be. Let's do a chart here, see if this will give us a number. But from here all the way to, let's see, here where we kind of, right? Is that about right? 24 weeks, it looks like, 168 days. Based on this, that we were in a nice bull run with RSI being over 70. So yeah, 20 some odd weeks. And then we were going down and then came back up, but I don't expect this to happen again. This was just a one-off, I think, event here that happened. We've never seen that in a prior rally, double top. All right, going back here. Okay. Question, when will you update the short interest posted on for Cleanspark? Let me see here. Do we have that? Let me see if I can pull this up really quick. Cleanspark here. Let me see. Bear with me. Short interest. Okay, 1031. I'm waiting for the latest data, which hasn't come in yet for the 11:15 data. I don't have it on my app yet. So we will not get through that here. Once I do have it, we will update it. Let's see here. Can is an undervalued stock. Last bull run went to 35, already in uptrend. Watch out for it. Be careful with that one. Take a look at how it's done compared to Bitcoin here over the last year to 2 years. It has not kept up with Bitcoin at all. Okay. What else? Okay. How long do you expect the bull run to last? Will it mirror the last one or any changes with the government involvement now? Okay. Originally, the thought process was that it's going to last at least like the last cycle, but we wouldn't have the double top, right? We would just have a continuation going up. And then this time around, we have, with the president getting a mandate, basically, he's got the House, the Senate, the presidency as well. Can they actually pass a law that would get Bitcoin as a reserve on the balance sheet for the United States? I think there's a high chance of it. We're also seeing it for states. We're seeing it with pension funds. You know, everything is totally different this time around. We have just so much more adoption happening than we had in the past. So we could see an extended cycle, but we really won't know until we're, I think, past like next year into this time. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on. Question, do you know if there was an SEC short action on IREN also at REN, 10% on Friday? Let me pull that sheet up, see if I still have it. Yeah, I do. Let me see if I can find IREN in here as well. I think it was, nope, IREN was not on that list. We had Riot, Cleanspark on it, but maybe the list came out a day prior for IREN, maybe. Not sure, but I don't see it on the list. All right, let's see. What's the reasonable price target for Cleanspark, and do you think they will adopt marathon strategy to buy Bitcoin? I don't know. Their previous conversations that I've heard them in chats and things like that, they've talked about how, they're a Bitcoin miner. They're there to mine Bitcoin at a much lower cost than what they can get it at the exchanges and things like that. So I don't think so, but you never know, right? But they've said that they're also open to other things. So could they be open to this? Possibly. All right. Let's see here. They said MicroStrategy dilution strategy to buy Bitcoin boosted its value immediately. Why do miners similar dilution strategies lag in boosting their stock value? It's a different strategy, right? MicroStrategy just buys Bitcoin and then they get it's like a leverage play on it at that point. Where they don't have the facilities, the miners that they have to purchase, all that stuff, it just goes into it. But then again, that's why we see MicroStrategy running sometimes ahead of the miners, because the miners need profits to be much higher, right? The thing that really hurt the miners was the halving cycle, the halving that we had back in April, right? Cut their revenues down in half automatically. Next day, you're making $50 million a month and you're down to 25 million. This is like, okay, that's rough. It's going to be rough on the miners. And that's why they were beaten down so much right now. And I think eventually they will rotate back into the miners, where they stop shorting the miners instead of going long MicroStrategy. They short the miners, and that's why we are in the spot that we are in right now. Also, I think MicroStrategy, like I said before, has run up a little too hot. I think we need a little bit of pullback. Will we get it? Time will tell. Okay. Let's see. Question: I was offered 13% a month from Fidelity for my 800,000 shares of DMG for someone to short. I declined. Have you looked at their BTC holdings and cash compared to their market? DMG, I don't know if I have the latest numbers on them. Let me take a look at here. DMG, I got Q3 numbers for them. Yeah, so here's the numbers for them that I have for DMG for Q3. Revenue was down here. Bitcoin mine quarterly has been coming down as well. Cost to mine Bitcoin still not too bad for them, 50,000. They're smaller miner, but healthy balance sheet here. So I really no concern with them going forward. So, but yeah, I mean, people are just shorting them. I think they should be higher valued than what they are right now. But it also depends on how well they grow and everything else on that one. Yeah, but the performance hasn't been great over the last 12 weeks. Surprisingly, if you compare that to Digihost, Digihost has been a rocket here a little bit on that one. Okay, let's go back here. All right, so do you think Mara using the MicroStrategy is considered good? I think it's good because it gets the shorts off their back. That's why you saw the stock run up at that point, right? Because if you're playing with the big boys and you're taking convertible debt, they're, especially at 0%, how are they going to make their money, right? They're going to make their money on the stock going up. So it relieves the pressure on the stock that way, and it helps the stock go up. So in a sense, it's probably a good strategy. But I personally don't like miners buying Bitcoin at spot, especially if you can mine it at a much lower cost, like Cleanspark can and others as well. Mara's cost to mine Bitcoin is higher than Cleanspark. And maybe that's why they're doing it, because it's not that much difference from where they can buy them from where they can mine. It is a difference of like 40-some thousand, but still. All right, what else we got here? Okay. Hive, can you explain how the shorting will pan out with Cleanspark? Eventually, the shorting will stop, right? At a certain point, when Bitcoin gets to 120,000, 130,000, I don't know exactly where it's going to be, but their revenue is going to be just so great from their operations that they're going to be looking to be making, close to $100 million a month in revenue. If you get closer to like 200,000, you're looking at like 120 million, I think, at that point, just off the top of my head here. So that's going to definitely increase their profitability as well. And at that point, you can't avoid that. You can't just go look, it's a Bitcoin mine, I'm going to short the hell out of them. No, you got to look at the revenue side of things. So I think it's going to change. Let's see. If Cleanspark was short sale restricted on Friday, doesn't that by definition mean they currently have zero shorts? No. That just means that they are restricted to how they short it for, I think, 2 days. So we had Friday, and I think tomorrow might also be a pretty good day for Cleanspark as well. Let's see here. Gary says, or question, Bitcoin miners are shorting their Bitcoin because the room for Bitcoin to grow is still so much more. As soon as it stabilizes, we'll see Bitfarms shoot up like a firework. Okay, so it really wasn't a question, it was more a comment. See, can we get Jim Cramer to endorse the Bitcoin miner so we can rock it? No. That's usually what happens in the inverse, right? If he endorses something, it goes down. And if he hates something, it goes up or something like that. Isn't that the inverse? Let's see. Hey, Seb, can you really... Okay. Kind of went over it really quick as well. Didn't go over it too detailed, but just a quick review. I did that. All right. The question, would you think that with short being restricted for Cleanspark in the past massive 70% day, that could be enough to trigger a potential squeeze? Oh, maybe. Not sure. Maybe, but maybe. I mean, there was up. I mean, Cleanspark was up. Let me just go back here to Cleanspark on the chart. You can see it here. Where are we at? We got to get up to here where we were. Right, it was up quite nicely here. This is on the 1 week. The week prior, right? Let me see. On the daily. Let's go to the daily here. I mean, it was up to like $18. We had that last week. It was the week before. We were up nicely, right, where Bitcoin started rocketing, and over the weekend. And a lot of these miners had a gap here on the start of Monday. A lot of them ended up actually getting filled here this past week. So they can do it, but there's just so much pressure on these to bring them back down that it's tough. And we need that pressure to subside. Once that pressure subsides, these things are going to go off like cannonballs. They're just going to rocket much higher from where they are because they are just way undervalued from where they really should be right now. And I'm not the only one with that kind of thinking. There's others out there that are thinking, we could see Cleanspark by like Christmas to being, in like the close to $30, $40 range potentially, because they're just being heavily manipulated right now, unfortunately. And we are at the mercy of that. All right. This week, what happens to miners? Bitcoin chops 96, 97 all week. Do miners keep going down? I don't know. Right, they're a lot more profitable right now than they would be at 80,000. So if they're still being manipulated, which I think they are, we'll have to wait. It might be a good time to get into them some more if you're looking to buy. All right. Good point here. Sauer says shorters are guaranteed buyers in the future. Yep. Okay. Say hypothetically, a Mag 7 company like Amazon, Nvidia, Google wanted to get into Bitcoin mining sector. Which miner would be best positioned for an acquisition? They're not getting into the Bitcoin mining business. They're making a heck of a lot more revenue on their cloud business. They're like Amazon, AWS. Oh my gosh, how many billions is that raking in right now? Why would they get into Bitcoin mining? No, they're not going to be doing that, in my opinion at least. They might want to buy the sites from some of these guys, yes, to grow their HPC business. I could see that, but they don't really want to buy Bitcoin mining. Question 7. The SEC Rule 201 was applied to Cleanspark on Thursday at 10. Are not the restrictions only for that trading day and the day after Friday? Maybe. Yeah, you might be right there. If it got applied at 10 o'clock, I forgot about that. That was Thursday got applied. But I thought I was referring to a full trading day. So maybe they lift it at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Something to keep an eye on. Okay. All right. Do you think BTC doesn't cross 100,000 and 95 is a peak? No. Not with all the news that we have going on. Bitcoin being used as a reserve, states putting it on their reserves, countries. Yeah, game theory is on right now, and it's no. All right. What else we got here? Trying to find some more questions. Okay, here we go. Soda heads. I did that one pop up. Sailors buying more. Yep. Saw that too. Submission question. Do you think they'll short Cleanspark today if the price drops to 1358? The shorts sale restriction, SSR will be triggered again. Wouldn't that make 1358 the best level to buy? Impossibly. But also depends where Bitcoin goes, right? If Bitcoin dips a little bit more this week, we could see a little pullback in the miners as well. So always be prepared for that as well. Have a little cash maybe on the sideline if you're going to get into some of these positions, and get into them when you see the dips. That's helped me out here in the last 3 years to get as much of a position as I can in some of these guys. All right. What else? Okay. What are your thoughts on MicroStrategy selling shares after the top to cover debt? Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to do that, right? That's part of the way it works. They can do that, or they can sell a portion of their Bitcoin to pay off the debt that they have as well. Are they going to do that? Probably not. So we will see probably some more dilution happening there later on in MicroStrategy's cycle here. Let's see. Do you think IREN will have the largest exahash increase in 2025 as they have in 2023 and in 2024? Or who do you think will have the most expansion next year? This year it's going to be close between IREN and Cleanspark, I think. Let me see if I have that spreadsheet still. I should. Where is it at? And the miners. Big miners, I think it's 12 months. The stock performance, market cap, enterprise. Where's it at? Monthly. Miners. Shorted. I thought I had that here someplace. 12 months. Where is that chart? Sorry, bear with me. Stock performance, price. No, that's prices. No, what? BTC hash rate. There it is. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. So here's a screen on this chart. Exahash added the last 12 months. Cleanspark added the most, 21 point. I mean, it's pretty close with Marathon right now, depending on how much Marathon adds in here. Marathon could actually be the top one. Iris, if they add another 10 exahash like they're planning to this quarter here, then we'll get them to 25. I think Cleanspark's got another, 6 exahash to go. So that would get them to 27. So depending on Mara, if Mara gets to, that would possibly make Marathon the highest here, depending on what else Riot adds in here. So those 4 are in contention for the top. Spot is hash rate growth this current year, is the way I see things, at least right now. Okay. How do you ask a live question? Yeah, you just kind of chime in here, put a question mark in front of it if you can, or a question, and then the question that you have, and I'll get to it. All right, what else here? Okay. Do you think the miners go 4 to 5x from the current levels of BTC cross 150,000? I would like to see it above probably 180,000. At that point, I would say yes, with a little bit more confidence than 150,000. But anything changes, right? All we need is the shackles to be taken off the miners from being shorted, and at that point, we're off to the races. Okay. Why isn't this not? There we go. What are your thoughts on TerraWolf with its HPC AI business? Also, what are your top miners for this bull run? For this bull run, my top miners were Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms. I thought was the most undervalued, so I thought that one may kind of catch up with the most. But their growth has kind of been spread out here a little bit longer. It's been extended from the end of this year. So I don't know about that one. But then I would also think maybe like Riot is doing much better with their operations, along with Marathon as well. So I kind of have like maybe those 4 in there, and maybe 4 Bitfarms. Okay, so that's that. All right, I think that was talked about that. Okay, question here. What are your thoughts on TerraWolf with its AI HPC business? Also, what are your top? Yeah, okay. Oh, so I forgot to cover the HPC. TerraWolf. TerraWolf, right now there's nothing, right? All we have right now is the words of the CEO or the CFO as well in there. Them getting at least 1 contract here by the end of the year, possibly 2 if things work out for them. Yeah, that'd be great. But I need to see what kind of contracts those are. Are those $5 million a year contracts? Are those $10 million a year contracts? Are those 50 million, right? Or 100 million? That's a big difference in the way the stock will react. If you get anything less than, I think, maybe 50 million a year, the stock might tumble. Because the way it's priced right now, it's priced for something maybe not as big as CoreWeave, but something similar. So, but even then, the stock would probably be even better at that point. But they just don't have the megawatt right now to do that, so you got to build out. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see on that one. I'm still skeptical on the HPC side of business, and TerraWolf coming out with what they come out with, a customer, might either prove my point or might null and void my point that I was thinking about the miners. All right, here. Question: Cleanspark peaked around January 2021, and Mara peaked around November of 2021. Why do they peak so much in different times? Do you think this will happen? Repeat? No. You have to recall that Cleanspark didn't become a Bitcoin miner until January of 2021. They had press releases from maybe a month or 2 months prior to that they were becoming a Bitcoin miner. They were getting into it. That's why I think the stock went up. But they started out Bitcoin mining in January with only 100 petahash at that point. That was paltry. That was nothing. That was small, right? But look at them now. Now they're chopping at the heels of Marathon, trying to become the #1 miner here in just 3 years. So a lot can change in this space. You can come from basically nothing and become one of the top miner here in little to no time, actually, if you do things right. And they did things right. So I do not expect that to happen again. Question here: would you be willing to reach out to Cleanspark CEO to ask for an interview with us as a live chat, maybe on a weekend? Thanks, Seb. So I don't do any interviews on my channel here with the CEOs or Matt's chairman there as well. I don't do any interviews here. I try to keep a separation, so that way I am free to praise them and also to kind of bash them when they don't do well. I find it a lot easier when I can do that, but I don't have that relationship, right? You build a relationship. I have a little bit of a relationship with all the CEOs here for the most part through either Twitter, but on Twitter I feel like it's more of a public forum. You get people on there. Yes, we might ask them some questions, but then we have also other people that come in. They can ask them their questions as well, and drill them if they want to at that point. So it's just not about me, but that's kind of the way I've always done things. Okay, that's here. Hi, Seb, thanks for sharing. I think the last cycle miners 4-run BTC. Why did miners lag a lot in this cycle? What are the main reasons? BTC doubled since February, but the miners haven't 4 to 6x. Okay, so let's break that down. The miners will again front run Bitcoin here going into the next 9 months to 12 months, I think. Right, that's going to repeat. The reason the miners are down this cycle, it's a different cycle altogether. Last cycle, the miners were going down into the halving event. This time around, with the hype around Bitcoin ETFs and everything else, Bitcoin and the miners were actually going up prior to that having, or at least up to like 3 months before that. So it was different at that point. And then we had the halving event. The halving event always has a cascading effect on the miners where they go down in value. So this is kind of like the same spot that we were last time as well. More or less, if you look at it, when the miners actually started to run, was right around the end of November here that we're in right now, right? They should be kind of running right now. And then they would ran into all of next year as well. So we're kind of doing the same thing here on it, based on what I'm seeing here right now, at least. All right. And then why has Bitcoin, Bitcoin does go up sometimes faster than miners, but then eventually miners do front run Bitcoin here. So that's, yeah. All right. All right. How are you so well versed in all of this space? I've been in it since 2017. I helped a friend of mine build and manage basically a small mining farm. We had like 600 some miners, and we had 128 GPUs. So I did that for 5 years. So I have a lot of experience as far as what is required to survive. And we learned a lot of lessons from that because we barely survived. When and how did you get started? Okay, yeah, when did you get started towards your inside expertise? Yeah, generally interested and impressed. Yeah, so did it for 5 years from 2017 to 2022. Also started investing into like Hive at that point, which was one of the ones that was publicly traded, and just learned a lot from their process, right? What does it actually take as far as hash rate, the cycles in Bitcoin, the network hash rate, what does that impact on it, cost of power, all that stuff that plays a huge role in these guys being profitable or not. Right? Do you have control over your facilities, or are you leasing them, or are you hosting them? Having your miners hosted basically with somebody else. There's a lot that goes into it and the costs that are associated with it as well. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then we stopped basically mining in 2022. And at that point, we had the pandemic prior to that as well, right? Or pandemic was starting around there. I'm like, I'm bored anyways. I had nothing really to do. I was tracking Hive at that point for my own self, right? Just monthly, seeing what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, we got other miners that are doing the same thing here. I'm just going to start doing this kind of stuff, tracking the miners, see how they do with performance, uptime, all that stuff, and then see if I can pick up maybe a couple of the winners here going forward. And we'll see if that plays out well for me. The one thing that was kind of a blind spot where I got hit on some of these miners was the HPCI, right? Didn't expect that happening. And that definitely catapulted some of the other miners that I didn't think were going to do that well, right? One was Terrawolf, Hot 8 was another one, and then Core was definitely one that I thought was, I was going to have a hard time getting out of bankruptcy. But that one got a nice deal with CoreWeave, and man, it definitely helped it out tremendously. So a couple of things I didn't see coming, but I don't think anybody did really at that point. Let's see here. Sour says 100,000 tomorrow. Mark this, you degenerates. I mean, I think we're all a little too heavy in these guys. Question. Thanks for your sharing. I think last Psycho Miners from BTC, they did did that already. Okay. Can you explain operational uptime? Why is Riot lacking so much? In the past, they had issues with Rockdale, which got hit by I think it was a winter storm, right? They had issues with the equipment there. And they also had issues with the ASICs there. So that's why they've had historically issues there. Recently now, they're deploying into Corsicana facility. They're doing all immersion cooling, and they're learning as they're kind of going about it as well. But they're also curtailing at certain times because they're part of the ERCOT grid there. They have the 4CP, I think it's called 4CP program in there as well, where you have to curtail at 4 times during the year at certain points to keep your costs down for the next year. That's part of it. But Rockdale, they have a power purchase agreement there for like 375 megawatts. They should be operating much higher. So it's got to be something to do with the curtailing and that they're going on there, where they're getting money for that, power costs, things like that. That's the only thing I can think of, because having a new facility and everything else should be running much higher. And they are working towards it. They're getting better at it. Jason has stated that they want to get to 95% uptime on average over the year. So they have a ways to go, but they are, looks like, working on that. Okay. All right. Question: what would it take for you to say nope to Bitfarms wood indicators? Wood indicators, I think it would be just. I think they're way undervalued, right? I would have liked to have seen them get their hash rate up closer to 21 exahash by the end of this year. But it looks like we're looking at sometime in 2025 now. I think if we only see like 500 petahash increase in for November here, or like maybe 1 exahash, with them putting in 20,000 machines there, that should have been priority number 1, right? So they should have been moving heaven and earth to get that those things swapped out for the old machines that Stronghold has there, for the newer machines, getting those things energized as quickly as possible. So I'd like to see at least, I'd like to see a 3 exahash. I'd be happy with around 2 exahash, maybe, even if it's better than 1. I'll keep an eye on it. I may shed a little bit of my shares there if it's not something that I'm impressed with, and move it over to some of the other miners at that point. But they could still surprise us. And that's one of the fears that I have here, is that I sell and then the thing takes off because it's been shorted for so long. All right. Let's see. All right. When short sellers will stop shorting miners? Yeah, that's anybody's question there. I think Bitcoin going up higher and higher is going to force them to, cover the shorts. All right. Let's see. Mara is at 2660. Very nice. All right, here. Hey, Seb, after short selling, I hope Cleanspark and other good miners will go up even if BTC stays. Yeah, if short selling stops, that would be a good way for them to go up. They would actually get the breathing room that they need to go up in value. Let's see here. Roz, I missed both of your questions. I covered one of them. Where's the other one that I missed? Okay. Here, sorry, I missed that one. Do you think when do I think Riot will hit $30? I'm guessing probably in the next couple months. It might take a couple months to get there, but we might be surprised. We might do it in December still. Okay, covered that. What's the deal with IREN class action lawsuit? The class action lawsuit is based on the short report that came out on them. This is going back probably 6 months back, I think, something like that. I think it's frivolous. I think it's just ambulance chasers going after it. But I'm not a lawyer, so we'll see what comes out of it. All right, what else we got? Okay, what is your thoughts on Cleanspark will go back to 12 and when Riot will? Yeah, okay. Cleanspark, I don't know if it'll go back to 12. It's possible Bitcoin goes down or something like that. But I'm not too worried about it short term, right? If you're looking to buy, yeah, those would probably be good buying opportunities at that point. All right, what else? Bill says Bitcoin's at 98.1. It's going back up. That's sort of 97.8 for me, at least on Coinbase. All right. All right. Jordan says tomorrow is going to be a great day for the miners, and I think I've caught up to all your guys' questions here. So I think we'll call it a day. We're going on almost an hour 20. Not too bad today. All right. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be Monday. We'll see what the miners do, how everything works out for us. But again, I think, like I keep saying, I think we're still early in this cycle. You just have to be patient, give it a little time. And at that point, I think we should do much, much better going forward. But when is that going to be? Could be tomorrow, could be in a week, could be in a month. I really don't know. But I think we're still there in that cycle period where things will switch for us going forward. And I'm not the only one that has that kind of conviction here. There's others that you possibly might follow on Twitter and watch on either other streams as well. So, right, we have a lot of good things happening for us. Miners are doing well. They're growing. Everything else, adoption is the big thing for us here. That's going to be a catalyst to drive Bitcoin price up much higher going forward. So, and I do think we're going to probably go north of 180,000, which originally I thought was 180,000. It's going to be maybe around the top. But with everything that we're seeing here just within the last couple of weeks, it might be even higher than that. So I'm really bullish. I'm really excited. And I'm just looking for the next 9 to 12 months to see where it takes us. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but we'll get there. All right. Just be positive. Stay positive. I know it's hard to do that when miners are going down, but be positive, be patient, and we'll get through this in a much, much better side of things come next year. Okay. But that is it. Thank you all so much for coming in. Greatly appreciate you guys. Love you all. Love the questions. And we'll see how next week goes. We'll see what updates we get. And then next week, we start getting updates again for the Bitcoin miners for November. So that's going to be fun there. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow.